Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. It's some number or other, and I'm broadcasting to you from my house in a field here in beautiful, sunny, rural Ireland. It's a nice evening, and I'm Trev Downey, and I'm joined by Marie Hanahan and Kam Brainch for this latest fun-filled episode, he said expectantly, of the Anfield Index Podcast. We have, through no fault of our own, had a little bit of an extended gap between the last one and this one, which is weird for us because we are quite consistent, and we even fitted one in where we had scheduling problems the last time, but not so this week. So if you've missed us or missed an episode, apologies for that. I'll take all the blame for that. Things are multiple plates are spinning around the Downey household at the moment, so it's I like to say it's fun, but it's not. It's shit. So I want to start with something that is fun. Someone sent me, Phil on Twitter, a good lad, sent me on a clip today which featured some Irish commentary on a hurling match, and I thought, oh yeah, I like that. And it reminded me, because, you know, the connection to Micheál O'Murhertig, who we heard a couple of weeks ago, of some other really fantastic commentary. Now, here's the sad part for listeners and in the short term for you, Kam and Lisa Marie. When I went looking for the absolute belters that I remembered, the sound quality is so shit and the accents are so thick that I think you would be lost. And I'm going to pause here just for a minute because it warrants this. I mean, Lisa Marie, when you traveled to Ireland, were you aware of the various regional accents, or did you just have a sort of idea of a generic Irish accent and they were all kind of the same?
I was vaguely aware of, I mean, if you had played me a couple of them, I wouldn't have, been able to identify which region they.
Oh God, no! I don't mean that. There was a variety.
Yeah, but no, I was aware of that, but I became more aware of it after traveling over there.
Yeah, you would, right? Yeah, exactly. And so and Kam, I think I asked you this question before, and I think your take was that you didn't really have any sort of awareness of the wide variety of accents within Ireland.
No.
Right. Okay. So this is what amazes me. So sometimes I would hear a guy, a British impressionist, and he would be doing an Irish accent, and he would be doing a Northern Irish accent, and he'd be impersonating, say, Bono or something. And it made no sense to me. Like, there's a different accent 25 miles up the road from where I am to where I am now. And it's not just a bit different. It's wildly different. So the regional variety is bananas. And sadly, as a result of that, I thought, well, that's just inaccessible to an audience that's not Irish by nature. So I've got a few that are slightly more in the vein of accessible. So hopefully you'll get this. Now, this first commentary is just 18 seconds. What I love is it's done by some guys for a regional TV station. What I love is how partisan it is and how it descends into utter disgust the minute they see the decision is not going for them. There's a foul committed, and the commentator is initially absolutely certain of his take, but his pal in the background is chipping away at him. Listen as everything descends into chaos and the language gets choice. So again, if you're listening with your children, don't do that. And here we go. Oh. Live technical error. Turn up your volume, Trev. And here we go.
We're professionals, people.
Two more gone through. Young Simon Kennedy, one on. Take him down. Take him down. He did it. There are no red cards for taking him down. No red cards for taking him down. He's done. No, it's not. You don't. There's no such thing as professional foul.
So I haven't.
I caught maybe every other word of that.
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't a clue if you understood what was going on, except that's why I felt the need to tee it up. So obviously you could hear the guy he was convinced that he was his player was taken out and there was not going to be any red card because there's no such thing as professional foul. Then it gets given.
I did catch professional foul. I did get that phrase.
It gets given. It gets given, and obviously he's a bit upset about that. This is far more. Let's just say, polite until again a little bit at the end there's a bit of disillusionment, and you can see or you can hear from it where the commentators' loyalties lie. This is a hurling match, and by the way, again, I hate to speak to the audience as if they don't know, but I am aware that most of our listeners aren't based in Ireland. I can guarantee you that. So if you haven't ever seen a hurling game, what you need to do is get yourself onto YouTube and just look up best of hurling, because it is at once the most mental, skillful and exciting field game in the world, bar none. Now, I wasn't lucky enough to play it. There's no club around me, but I always watch it with envy. Here's a chap who gets very excited and then very sad. Here we go. Hang on there. Again, volume up, Trev. Hold on. And here we go.
Jack Golding for carrying on his bicycle. Good one here by Jack Golding. Oh, great speed. Great speed by Golding. This will be some score. Put it over the bar now. See, oh, look at this for stuff. Unbelievable. Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. Bad strike. Super move, but bad strike. Jack Golding.
You gotta love it. The thick regional accents always make these things better, and at some point over the next week or so, or a couple of weeks, I have a couple more features on that, just to give you a little taster of some of the best of Ireland's regional accents, and it'll take the form of a quiz where it'll be basically, what did that lad say? I'll be curious to see how that goes over with both of you.
Google Translate.
Yeah, believe me, that will not help. That will not help. Lisa Marie, what sort of a week did you have, or whatever week and a bit it is now since we did our show? How have you been in the meantime?
First of all, this is episode 324.
You've been just jonesing to do that voice again, haven't you?
It seems to give both you and Kam such pleasure, and I'm just here to make people happy. My life has been mental as well, and I would also like to accept part of the blame for us not being able to fit in an episode, the first part of this week, and that was partially because of my insane work schedule right now. Huge project, big deadline. It went out the door on Tuesday, and it was like someone literally took a weight off my back or removed the sword that had been hanging over my head for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah. Of course, it's just the first deadline for this project, but even still, it's been a couple of weeks of very, very long hours. So,
well, at least the football has been completely undramatic, and just a source of intense calm.
Absolutely.
Wow. So do you have any sort of thought or observation or quote or anything like that to get us started?
I do have a couple of short quotes here by the same person. So, they'll tell you you're too loud, that you need to wait your turn and ask the right people for permission. Do it anyway. Justice is about making sure that being polite is not the same thing as being quiet. In fact, oftentimes the most righteous thing you can do is shake the table. And that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a congresswoman from New York and a very well-spoken young woman. But yeah, I've had a couple of self-awareness things in the last couple of weeks that have shown me that, you know, being quiet and being respectful aren't necessarily the same thing. And, you know, that's a good thing to discover at this stage in my life. So anyway, more importantly, it's something that I'm trying to teach, not just my children, but most especially my daughter, that, because I think it's, not to get into a whole gender thing, but I think it's something that's harder for women or for females to learn that line between, you shouldn't say it, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And, and all those other little phrases, but there's a way to speak up, stand up for yourself. And you know what, if they call you a bitch for it, who cares?
I think that's incredibly important sentiment. I had that conversation today, if you can believe it, with a colleague, and it was something that was very, very close to my heart as I was bringing up my kid. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and you try to invest the nippers with enough confidence to just be them. Not always so easy, and there's a whole new sort of level of. There seems to be a pervasive amount of anxiety that kids are suffering with now as well. I know that from my work. I know that from family. I know that from kids belonging to friends. My own kid now is far too old for me to even mention in case I give my age away, because Kam will be perched ready to take advantage of that situation. But it's a wonderfully important sentiment, and much as I might raise a quizzical eyebrow at Miss Ocasio-Cortez every so often
I don't necessarily agree with her stance on everything, but I happen to come across those quotes, and they just, as I said, it was very timely for me personally.
Absolutely, but absolutely, because there, if you're hitting a batting average where you're getting a couple of things exactly right like that, I'm all for it. Yeah, thanks. That's both earnest and important kind of concept that it's nice to have on the show. Kam, what about yourself, man? Again, it's been a while since we nattered live. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good, thanks. Last week, obviously, we had nothing to talk about, so nothing happened the week before.
Nothing's happening, man,
No, just a quiet week and lived
been very quiet,
world, wasn't it? And like I said on Twitter, next thing you'll be telling me Jurgen Klopp signed a new contract or something as stupid as that. So, imagine if that happened. Shit, man.
That would be wonderful.
Well, I'm just worried about the next 4 years, I don't know how I'm going to cope, thinking he's going to be leaving. So, the anxiety started already. But
there you go. This guy, what a pro, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him making these little segues effortlessly.
I know, isn't that great?
What a pro.
It's all part of the game, isn't it? So
apparently you've got a very brief opening thought for us.
Yeah, but just two very small sentences. The last sentence is only 4 words. So here we go. Within all of us, there is a little child. Why not enjoy life?
I like that.
Has there been any particular...
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Wow. Wow. Siri.
You know what that is, yeah? That's
Siri,
Trev's
please
version
fuck off.
of the male Lisa Marie.
I feel like I'm being upstaged just a little bit here.
Sorry, but I'm sorry, but that's exactly what just happened there. Wow. I still can't understand it since I got this MacBook Pro. I don't know what the trigger is. I don't know what words trigger it, but it's entirely terrifying. My pal came over to me today, not to derail where you're going with this, Kam, and come straight back to it. And he said to me, this guy is 43, something like that. And he says, Trev, I think my phone might be listening to me. And I
just realised.
And I went, Christ, lad, I've been telling you that for 8 years. And he goes, I know, man, but it's a bit freaky, isn't it? And I went like, yes, turn off the voice activation. And I can't turn it off on this freaking laptop. So like you, Lisa Marie, I'm having laptop based.
There will be a way you can do it.
Irritation. Oh, there absolutely will, Kam. But every time it happens, I get so annoyed that I don't do anything.
You just stare at it and fume.
I feel this is the thing. In life, when terrible things happen, I'm actually a pretty good guy to have around. I'm calm. In disasters, I operate really well. but if I stub my toe or if my cup of tea spills, I am living anger. Like, I am fury personified. So Siri, it's going to kick in there again, isn't it? Is a source of constant irritation on this laptop. So what was it that inspired that little quote by you, Kam? Was it just the fact that the Reds are giving us so much crack that we should definitely lean into it?
Definitely, exactly that. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, there's never, ever, I can honestly say in my lifetime, when it's been such a pleasure to be a fan of this football club.
That's right, man. That's right. Because
I said it last week. I went down that road last week, didn't I? Or 2 weeks ago, sorry. But
you remember when you were a kid and things were ridiculously good.
I mean, it was if we finished second, it was a disaster.
Yeah, but there was something about the climate of the 1980s. There was something about the lack of coverage that you didn't feel as connected to these guys.
Not in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, social media has played its part. Liverpool's social media team have played their part. It's just the synergy from top to bottom, all the way through. I mean, I was talking to the Podfather himself earlier. He gave me a quick call, and I said, me being the sarky bastard, the sarky person I am.
It's a bit late for that type.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening to this show and I'm on it, you know it's going to be X-rated. Sorry, folks. But yeah, I said to Gags, I said, the FSG outers must be boiling in their own proverbial. You know what I mean? Because they've got nothing. Like nobody can honestly say a bad word right now about anything. Surely, nothing. I can't think of anything that the club.
You need to be on Twitter more.
Made so many mistakes in the past, but to get to this point where everything is so right, a year ago. I mean, this is what me and Gags were saying. A year ago, we were fuming because we needed to sign a centre back. We needed a centre back, but the club didn't. They got one in on loan eventually when the hand was forced, but they wouldn't sign because they wanted Konate. Again, it's that point about they know what they're doing. They so know what they're doing. Oslot haven't got a frigging clue. They're 4D chess. We're just playing checkers. That's it.
Can I ask you something as a really simple question? And I promise, folks, we'll start talking about football in a football-y way soon. Did you, when you were growing up, playing board games, like no doubt all children of the 70s? Lisa Marie was obviously a generation after us.
I love y'all.
No problem. So there were board games, but did you play checkers, or did you, as all of us here in Ireland, play drafts?
Drafts. But I said checkers because I thought more people would understand that.
Oh no, listen, I know you're a man to people. Yeah. You're reaching out to the transatlantic audience. God bless you.
Indeed.
I wanted to double check.
No, it was always drafts, but don't forget, I was from the age of 11. Not that you guys would know, I was pretty much an only child. So it was a bit boring playing drafts on your own, you know.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, okay.
It was solitaire was fun. Snakes and ladders, not so much fun.
I guarantee. I'd say the get Hungry Hippo was shit in your house.
We didn't have it.
Did you not have Hungry Hippo?
We had that
one toy I remember. I had a Planet of the Apes little finger mask thing that you put your fingers in from behind, and it was like made out of foam.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, that's all I can really remember as the only real toy. Yeah.
Well, you and I have spoken about this before, and I'll loop you in on this one, Lisa Marie, as well, because I famously have told people that we grew up in comparative penury, and I basically watched the TV ads and thought I would love Subbuteo. I was never going to get it. Yeah. I would love Evil Knievel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I so wanted that. I was never getting it. I really wanted Scale Extric. I was never getting it. But I did, and to be fair to my folks, I did get a quite half decent knockoff on Christmas.
So did I.
Oh, and there was a thing. There was a thing called Simon, where they would.
Oh yeah.
Right, they would flash. You had to hit the button at the right time. Again, it was never going to happen. So I'm going to loop you in, because myself and Kam have compared notes on poverty in the past, Lisa Marie. So we won't bore the listeners with our stories of tattered knees and barefoot walks to school across the fields, in my case. And we'll ask you. I mean, can you remember toys from your childhood that you had? You mentioned Hungry Hippo. That was the one brand name thing that did come into our house, and I have to say, I did enjoy it, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So what stands out for you? Were you watching toys as a kid? And if so, which ones were like really taking your eye?
Okay, here's the thing. My father worked for a department store, and he was the toy buyer.
Oh, God.
So we kind of had most of the good stuff.
Oh, my God.
He was the one making the selection, or one of the ones.
She had everything. This is so unfair.
Yeah.
And
no doubt
you guys
throwing my toys out the pram right now.
See, you guys are probably like
I know. And I mean, keep in mind, in the age of like Star Wars, my brother had a lot of the really cool Star Wars stuff.
Did he have the Falcon? Did he have
Millennium Falcon?
Oh my God.
He had the X-Wing fighter.
Can I just tell you, the wanker up the road had the Millennium Falcon, and I wanted to kill him even more after that.
We also had the AT-AT.
Oh, did you? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm sounding like I was very. I mean, we were middle class, you know. I mean, but yes, but
yeah.
Was
Yeah.
I had the
Richie Rich over there.
Do y'all know what the Barbie Dream House is? Probably not, but
yeah, it was
a coveted thing, and of course, in the age of the Cabbage Patch doll.
Oh yeah.
I had the Cabbage Patch doll.
Cabbage Patch dolls as well.
Yes.
They were gold dust there.
It's not. I mean, I know what you're saying, and you know, I was very blessed.
Yeah,
and
listen.
What's weird? Here's what's weird is, because my dad had done this. He worked for first a department store in Detroit, and then one in Cleveland, Ohio, and then we moved down here, and he worked for another one. And there are things, hand to God, still at my parents' house, like board games from like the late 60s, early 70s, that have never been out of the box. They're in like they're probably worth God only knows how much money.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
So I'm inviting anyone, when the time comes that my parents decide to sell the house that they've been living in for 42 years. It's going to be a nightmare because my father's like half hoarder. But yeah, It is going to be fun.
It sounds like there's two guys on. I really don't like old stuff. I don't like antiques. The antiques give me the fucking willies, I'll be honest with you. I don't want dusty old crap that used to belong to people. But at the same time, there's a show called American Pickers.
Yes.
And I can't stop watching the fucking thing. It's mostly because they look at old bikes and cars. I love all that shit and signs and stuff. And I like all that kind of stuff. But it sounds like you need to give them a call.
Yeah, that honestly. We probably do. Well, and that's the thing. I keep telling my mom that she needs to start, like, you know, when she and my dad go up to Michigan, you know, every summer for, you know, a week or so to visit family up there, that probably needs to be licensed for my brother and I to, like, take some time and to go into the house and start smuggling stuff out.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Because you know there's going to be resistance. You just know.
Oh, absolutely. There's resistance. I can tell you right now. So, yeah. Because now, I mean, we've even imported stuff. Like when my grandparents passed away several years ago and we cleared out their house, we brought stuff in.
Oh, so. Wow.
Yeah, my dad's borderline hoarder.
Well, I can just imagine him saying, you know, in his own no doubt genteel way, stay away from my shit.
No, what I like is when now, and you know, I'll raise my hand. There are still things in what was my bedroom growing up that, you know, in most cases, like if my parents had sold the house and moved somewhere else, I probably would have come in and cleared out by now. But he'll say, be like, when are you going to get your crap out of my house? I'm like, honestly, that bedroom is the least of your worry.
Yeah. Prioritize that. Yeah. Well, speaking of prioritizing,
all right. Sorry, I totally derailed the discussion.
No, that's all on me. We should focus on the elephant in the room, the pachyderm in the corner, which is the fact that the Reds are in the fucking final of the Champions League. And it is a remarkable thing. And Kam hit the right note earlier on. We need to just revel in this because, yes, there is a reality where the season pans out and there are no more trophies. But I have heard people say that, you know, that's a disaster and that would be the worst thing in the world. And it will sting. It would sting immensely. But my God, enjoy the ride because this has been amazing. And it's not just, do you know the best part about this, lads? It's not just the fact that the Reds are on this great run and this is a potential. It's that it's utterly deserved. It's utterly deserved. When we were watching the semi-final between Manchester City and Real Madrid, we were all dreading the Liverpool-Manchester City final, not necessarily because City are the other best team in Europe, which is the point I'm trying to get at here, but because who the fuck wants to play City again anyway? And all English finals are drab affairs. Last year's, I couldn't even watch it. I'm glad I didn't watch it. I was delighted with the result, even though I hate Chelsea quite a lot as well. But at least it wasn't City. The one who we played Tottenham, I would imagine for anyone watching that, it was a poxy game. But again, I didn't give a shit at the time. So who wants that? You know, that was the thing. But really, if we're all being honest, the motivation was we don't want to play them because they're the only other team in the continent currently who can stay at our level for as long as we have over a course of time that we have. And it's amazing. It's an amazing place for a club to be when you consider what we're up against in Manchester City. And when you see them crying and bleating in the papers today in the wake of their is that 6 years that Pep has been at City now? I think it is. In the wake of his tenure, unsuccessful runs at Champions League again and again, and they have to come out with the news that they're going to spend 300 million over the summer because, as other fan accounts were saying, well, the lack of squad depth has hit us hard. It's hilarious. And I think most right-thinking people can see how stupid and absurd and actually really obnoxious it is. So let's start enjoying what happened. And the usual thing I do is, what was your takeaway from let's look at our game first, because I do want to talk about the other one if you're into it. But let's look at our game first. And a game where, honestly, it looked like somebody had injected our food with some sort of tranquilizers. We were so awful. It's the worst half of football I've ever seen from a Jurgen Klopp team ever. On the biggest occasion it could happen. And I was not sad, not worried, not anxious, mostly fucking furious at halftime. So Kam, I'm going to start with you. Like, what were you thinking at that stage? I asked Jan earlier on, we were recording our show, and I said, did you have a little bit of a wobble? Because I know I did. I was fucking furious, but I also didn't think we could play as bad, and I was hopeful because of that. And he said, look, you trust these players, you think they're going to come good, but absolutely, you were a little bit, you know, was it going to be one of those nights? Where were you at halftime in terms of your mood levels?
I had ants in my underwear.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I was livid. I was really livid, but I wasn't. I stayed away. I was like on the phone, but not saying anything. And you know, and I was just watching it, and I was thinking, fucking hell, this is a shit show, if ever I've seen one. And I saw all the stuff. We need to change the midfield. We need to bring somebody on who can control it. And I'm like, yeah, we've got the three best players on the pitch for control, but yeah, let's not, I wouldn't have seen the change that needed to be made. I didn't see it. I know Dave did, Dave Hendrick. He saw that the change needs to be.
Well, Diaz, you weren't following Twitter then either, because that was the only thing I said is Diaz, please bring on Diaz, because we needed the stick.
Yeah, we did, but in my mind, all I could see was I was seeing what everybody else was seeing, but I wasn't thinking we still needed to make that change, if that made sense. I was just like, this is as bad as they're ever going to play, but this is still our three best midfielders for me, and I was just like, the defense is all over the place.
So what you were thinking was, let's roll on. But the defense is all.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, in my mind, Klopp very rarely does Klopp make a change at half time. But then again, I should have realised he would have made a change at half time because.
But what did you want, man? This is what I'm getting at. Were you looking at Andy Robbo and saying, let's get Tsimikas off because he's having a
No. I was just thinking they can't play that badly in the second half. We know they can't play that badly in the second half. I think in a way I was like a rabbit caught in the headlights at the same time as well.
Yeah, I get it.
I just couldn't see what the change should be, but I knew the change shouldn't have been in the midfield, because for me that midfield couldn't play as badly for the second half. That's all I could see, but all I could see was Naby was really shite for not pressing and closing down for the cross for the first goal. Robbo was exactly the same for the second goal. It was nice of BT not to highlight Robbo, but highlight Naby. Yeah, no bias, lads.
Robbo caused that second goal 100%. He gave the ball away, and then he stood. And then he backed off.
Run off him, and then
he backed off. Yeah. He had a nightmare in that goal.
Yeah. You got so much wrong in that second goal. So he let him run off him, and then he just didn't close him down to try and stop the cross. He let him cross. So, like I say, first off, collectively, aside from Alisson, they were shocking.
100%. I agree with you. And it's beautifully refreshing to hear an honest take, because everybody's, wise after the event. And there was an awful lot of people who were screaming for wild amounts of midfield changes, and I fully empathized with them, because our midfield was atrocious, but so was our defense and so was our attack. So the point was, the only thing I was thinking was, look, we need a guy who's going to hold on to possession and who's going to carry the ball forward, because none of our attacking players seem to be able to do that. And Luis Diaz has never failed to do that ever since he's come to the club. So it was the obvious choice.
He was, because Bobby wasn't there.
Because Bobby wasn't there. I'm glad Jurgen made the call.
Yeah.
Jota was no more awful than Sadio or Mo in the first half, but he is lower on the pecking order. So it was the one that made sense. And listen, Marie, I know you looked at this. I think I'm right in saying you work commitment. So I think you watched this after the event. Did you know the score? You obviously did. Probably you couldn't.
Yeah, I did. So as this is going on, I'm trying to get this work deliverable out the door, and so I'm kind of checking the score. And actually, Trev, you and I had a little exchange on Twitter. If you don't mind, I'm going to read. So I'm like, what happened? Just got off a call and checked the score. And Trev, we've been really, really shite. I'm like, succinct. Lead with that on Raw.
It's pretty.
So I'm like, what are they doing to me? I have been looking. This was supposed to be like, I finished this work deadline and I can just kind of take a minute and sit down and relax. And this is what they're giving me. What do we got? What have we got going on here, boys? So I really didn't. So the second half. So I didn't watch the first half at all. Although I'm seeing on Twitter and in the Discord and everywhere else, how we had just been absolutely awful. And everybody, across the board, just horrendous. So I did have it on a little bit for the first half. Had it on, and I was kind of in and out of the room because I was getting ready to go somewhere. And I walked in walked out and walked back in just as Fab scored. And so I'm like, okay. And honestly, I think I was a little bit nervous, but honestly, because I wasn't sitting down and was all in watching it, I wasn't probably as nervous or anxious as other people, who were. And then I had to leave, and I'm driving, and my husband is texting me, scored again. So I'm like, okay, thank you, boys. And so then later that evening, when I sat down to watch it back, it was, Sean and I watched it together, and I was just like, I bet this really was very, not any fun to watch the first half, but knowing how it all turned out, I'm okay. So
yeah.
anyway.
Well, do you know what? You actually got the best of both worlds then, because I know obviously you were already under stress with a different commitment entirely, and so it's not like you were having it easy or anything. But to watch that game after the event is a different thing. To watch
it was actually kind of boring, to be fair.
Not
the second half, but the first half was a little bit. Boring. Now, I also have to say, you know how it is when you're hearing everybody talk about how awful they're playing, and then you go to watch it, and not to say that they weren't awful, but you're almost expecting, like, did we accidentally put the under 17s out there? What level of awful do we have going on here? So yes, they absolutely did not play well, but just based on all the online reaction, when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, no, by any means, this is not good, but it's not as horrible as, it was they just were making things sound. Yeah.
It was just really jarring, Kam.
I think so.
You'll relate to this, Kam, because you're watching it live as well. It was really jarring to watch Thiago do the Thiago turn away and then slide the ball over the line, or Robbo to...
Yeah, it was just all over the place, wasn't it?
Robbo to slide the ball up the line and it goes out of play, or it's hugely overhit, or Trent couldn't pick a pass, Virgil hit diags and found nobody. It was just really kind of, what is happening? I started to think, have we got food poisoning that Jurgen hasn't declared, because we don't want to let it get out there as a source of weakness and the whole squad's fucked, so we might as well just see if we can get through this. I was genuinely it was that level of like, what is going on here? But to take it round and to start looking at the happy stuff, because that's what we're here for. The Fabinho goal obviously was a source of tremendous... lads, if you could have heard the way that I celebrated the Fabinho goal, it wasn't like yes or yeah or anything that would even vaguely resemble a sort of an affirmative cheer. I was standing with my jaw tilted backwards, just making some sort of guttural roar. It was pure primal. It was like, now do that again. And they did, to be fair to them. And my God, Jimmy Greaves and Ian St. John, Kam, back in the days, used to talk about a game of two halves, and it turned into a real cliche. But wow, we came out, I think we had all of our 15 shots on target, all of our 15 shots in the second half. We had 0 on target in the first half. It was almost Real Madrid-esque in its awfulness. And the turnaround was brilliant. And what I loved about it, I think Lisa Marie's alluded to this as well, what I loved about it was like, no, we're not just going to win. We're going to win the shit out of this tie on aggregate. We're going to show everybody, remind everybody that first half was an aberration. And we are the fucking Reds. And we were attacking right to the final whistle, Kam, even when the game was in the bag. I love that.
Yeah, that's what we do, though, don't we? If you're going to have an awful game, half, whatever you want to call it, quarter, let's be honest, it was a quarter in the grand scheme of it. That was the time to have it. Get it, hopefully going forwards now, we've got 6 games left. We don't see anything close to that again. So for the next 45 minutes of this match that was just played, it was what we expected from the off. I think we're also, at the same time, we've done Villarreal a little bit of a disservice here. in how we've solely concentrated on how bad we were. But
fair point.
They were awesome first half. They were fantastic. They came at us like a team possessed. They came at us like they were in the ascendancy from the off. They showed us that they were there. You know, they were in the semi-final for a reason. You know, they weren't there just to make up the number. They were there for a reason. It's a semi-final of the Champions League. You've got to be a quality team to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. You can't be shite like the Manx. You know what I mean? The dirty Manx, that is. You know, not the new dirty Manx. So
I was going to say, you're going to have to clarify there.
Yeah. You know which Manx I meant. You know, I've got to get a dig in somewhere to someone. So Villarreal, let's give them credit. They were fantastic. They played some great football. You know, their pressing was phenomenal. They stopped our defence from settling for a second. They were all over us. You know, they were literally playing 4-2-4, weren't they? And then it was, you know, four. You know, it was almost then like a 4 and a 6. They just seemed to have overloads everywhere. The way they played against us in the first half, and that's a reason why we were so poor. We couldn't handle it. It wasn't just that we couldn't make the ball stick. They had a part in that as well. And you know, but could they keep that going in the second half? Would the manager allow them to do that in the second half? And they didn't. Whether it was because the manager said no, we've got to sit. We need to just hold fire now. We've got plenty of time to get this goal to win the tie, and was it because halftime just cost them that momentum? Whatever happened, and the second half, the way we came out and the way we just completely took control of that game, that showed. I mean, I had a WhatsApp message from a West Ham fan, and he goes, "You're the best football team in the world." And I just replied, I said, "Not the," I said, "just possibly," because you've got to have a bit of humility. I mean, whether we think we are the best football team in the world, the next 3 weeks will define that.
Will it?
Oh,
will it? Because Jurgen's here for 4 more years, and we didn't get a chance to talk about that in a show either. And I mean, what's really exciting for me, man, is City are gonna go out and spunk millions on Haaland and fucking whatever other Terminator fuckers are out there and it doesn't matter. None of it matters.
None of it matters.
They can bring bionic footballers onto the field because there's something magical, isn't there, about the club with Klopp at the moment? It's magical.
It goes back to what I said at the beginning. It's that synergy. No other club in England has that synergy that we have, from top to bottom, where everything is in harmony, it's in unison. There's no other club can. Everton can let off their fireworks and do their, get the fans out to,
we didn't get
the players out for the coach to come in and try and replicate what we do, because apparently we're bad eggs for doing that, but now it's all right for them to do it. Yeah, other clubs can try, but you don't copy. You have to raise the standard. You have to try and be better than what you're seeing. Yeah. What we are seeing, because apparently now going back to Man City, they've got no squad depth all of a sudden. What do you mean they've got no squad depth? They could put out their 11 that we played in the League Cup final. They showed what their squad depth is in the second half, how they came back at us.
I'll give you a brilliant example about squad depth at Man City. I saw a guy who rates himself very highly as a sort of football analyst. He is obviously a City skewed individual. I can't be arsed with any kind of vendettas. I don't want anyone hearing this and coming back at me or quote tweeting me or telling me I was crying about somebody. So we'll just leave it at this. But he was doing a kind of squad depth chart, and his view of what things were going to look like next year had Kyle Walker ahead of Cancelo and had someone else that they've just bought ahead of Cancelo. And I was going, he's been your best player. Like what you literally haven't a clue. So what the point I'm trying to make here is you're talking about people who are sort of whirling around in a Liam and Noel Gallagher sort of beard up frenzy of confusion, going, but it's those Scousers, referees, conspiracies. It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. They've got nothing. And I'm sorry, I saw an interview with Pep Guardiola today. I'd love to play it for you, but the point of it was, and I don't want this. I'm very aware of languages because I teach them. And I've studied them, and nothing interests me more than words. So I don't piss on anyone for not having a command of a language. It's actually one of the most offensive things to me. But I will tell you this: I saw Pep Guardiola, who, like I said, has been at City for years, doing an interview there about a question he was asked about. Is it a failure for Man City not to have won the Champions League at this stage? The one thing he was brought in to do, let's remember this, the one thing they brought him in to do. And he went on, I think it was 4 minutes of a sort of odd ramble rant. And I couldn't understand a fucking word of it. He made no sense. It was utter gibberish. And you can lean into the whole, well, his English, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's disingenuous. He had nothing to offer. He had no tangible, realistic, logical opposition to make to the observation. This is a failure, surely. You are a petrostate-owned club. You can spend whatever you want on whoever you want. And the thing that they asked you to do, you haven't managed it. Do you and your players feel like a sense of failure about this? No acceptance whatsoever. And the main reason for them not being a situation where they're absolutely kicking the shit out of everyone in Europe every year, Liverpool Football Club, because we're keeping them honest. That's it right there. We're keeping them honest. We're the ones who can go toe to toe with them despite all their advantages. And it's such a super, super time to be a Liverpool fan. And Lisa Marie, I want to just talk to you about the other one, the other semi-final, which saw Manchester City, who we've been just speaking about here, go out. I'm so glad they did, because for the reasons I said earlier on, A, they are the other best team that was left in it, and B, who the fuck wants to be like playing a Premier League game in a Champions League final? And C, I'm on the boat which not many people are on, and I wouldn't normally be on it, which is marked SS Mo Salah revenge. And I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care if it's hubris or I'm setting myself up for a fall. I know that you'd be tuned into this kind of thing. You'd be like, oh, let's not go there. But I in the same way that I've been talking up the 4 trophy Reds, I'm like, why not? I understand Virgil comes on, Trent comes on, Hendo comes on. They say we're just taking it one game at a time because that's the Liverpool way. But Salah's not made like other people, and Salah says, yeah, I really want to play those, and I really want to beat them, and I really want to get the 4 trophies. And I'm glad somebody's saying it, Lisa Marie. I don't care. I'm kind of it makes me happy to hear it. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm not always as nice as you give me credit for. I loved hearing that Mo said that he wanted Real Madrid. You know, they were asking him, you know, in the post-match interview after the semifinal on Tuesday, and he said he wanted Real Madrid. He wants the revenge. And I was like, nice. Yes. So now, you know, if he had been disingenuous or, you know, as we would say over here, ugly about it, you know, that would be one thing. But, you know, it is a little bit more personal for him, just, you know, because of the injury that he sustained the last time we played them in the final. So I totally get that. And I love that additional motivation for him. I mean, not that he needs any to begin with, but I just, you know, I have a feeling that angry Mo might be kind of a fun thing to watch.
Yes. That's my point exactly. That's my point exactly, because we've seen him come back and everyone's expecting the AFCON would do it, or the most recent game against Saudi would do it, or something's going to fucking do it, but nothing has really done it to get him back to the literally unplayable form where he was before. But maybe we've all been discounting the one obvious thing about Mo Salah. And the reason that he says that, the reason that he was the only one in the Liverpool squad who would say that, and maybe against what his manager would wish, is that Mo's ego is bigger than everybody under the sun. He is, for all his smiling and shine, apparent shyness and politeness, he thinks he's fucking brilliant. And he's right.
And then I was going to say, and and somehow you can take that because he is, or maybe because he's on our team. I'm sure there are many people who support other teams that see that and it just winds them up. But because he's ours, he's our Mo Salah, we all love it, and we just kind of play into it. Now, I did not get a chance to watch the Man City Real Madrid match yesterday. Or Wednesday. Honestly, y'all, I don't know what day of the week it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, and I kind of do want to sit back and watch. If I have a chance this weekend, I'm maybe gonna try to watch that. But so I haven't, and I was kind of following the score, and I Trev, this may have been another exchange with you where I had kind of turned it. I did have it turned on in the background, and as I was working, and and as soon as I turned it on, City scored, and I was like, oh crap. So I turned it off, and after a few minutes, and then Real Madrid ended up scoring. So I'm like, all right, we're leaving that off. We're just gonna leave that alone. So it was another one where I was just kind of checking the score, but because Real is not a team that I'm watching on a regular basis, I do sort of want to go back and watch that match just so I have some familiarity with the team and how they play, or how they at least played in that in that match before the final. So anyway, but in this 14 thing, I've only seen the bits about them. Am I stealing your thunder there, Trev?
No, not at all.
About the shirts, the 14 shirts. No. That's not nice.
It's a weird thing. I was going to go straight from the point you made to Kam with that, because it did rub me up the wrong way. And to answer your question, you want to go and have a look at how they played. It was quite interesting. They were able to progress the ball pretty well through Vinicius Jr. to a point, and then not to a point. And the big scary threat that was Benzema was not scary or big at all, and then all of a sudden it was. And this is the problem. They were able to bring on the Rodrigo kid, and he had an instant impact. They were able to liven themselves through the introduction of oh my god, I'm having a mental blank on the midfielder they took off. What's wrong with me? Oh lads, I can only apologize. I'm not sleeping very well at the moment, but a very, very, very good with super hair. Modric and Cruz went off. Camavinga came on. Camavinga added a lot of energy and actual forward intent as well. But when you watch it, the initial lineup, toothless as fuck. They had no attempts on target for the vast majority of the game. And I don't think that's an accurate reflection of that team. But the substitutions worked, and that's what matters. And Kam, at the end of the day, we're facing them. At the end of the day, Mo wants them for a reason. At the end of the day, however, they are so far ahead of every other club in Europe in terms of the wins that they had. You could raise a Carlo Ancelotti eyebrow at a few of them.
The first five you could.
Especially in the early ones.
First five, yeah.
Yeah, which might take them back down to sort of more manageable levels where the rest of the European elite are, including Liverpool. But whether you like it or not, those years under Zidane where they won them back to back to back, that's scary shit. And they know how to win this trophy. And they're so confident, Kam, that they don little on to the 14th t-shirts and ran hand in hand towards their fans and slided towards them in glee, cavorted about in their 14 t-shirts. Now, I will be honest with you, man, that wound me right the fuck up, because whatever kind of dislike I had for them suddenly got amplified. And now all of a sudden I'm thinking Man City are the good guys here, because I was like, wow, the arrogance of that. And then I thought, it's just shit mind games.
Of course
You're
it is.
you're gonna sort it. What was your take on them and that match?
I only saw about 10 minutes of the first half at the end. I then was completely cream crackered from only having like 4 hours sleep from the night before, and then obviously having to get up at stupid o'clock the next day. So I'll be honest with you, Trev. All I've seen is, like I said, that 10 minutes, and I've seen one clip of the Jack Grealish shot that was cleared off the line.
Yeah.
With Foden stood there, and I'm like, how the hell? I had no idea what exactly happened. I don't even know. I know that they scored I think it was the 91st minute, but there was still a goal behind. Then they scored in the 93rd minute or something, I think, and then I think this was it in the 95th. I don't know if the 95th was in the was in extra time or sorry, injury time.
The penalty was in extra time, yeah.
Oh, it was in extra time, right? Okay, yeah. So that's good. City played another 30 minutes, but obviously, because they have no squad depth, so that's going to be a problem for them going forward. So, yeah, in reference to the 14, they did this before Kiev as well, didn't they? They did exactly the same thing, and it wound me up. Like you say, then it wound me up. Hearing about it now, because I didn't see it, couldn't give a shit. Honestly, I don't think Jurgen and the boys and the Reds, I don't think they give a monkeys now. If anything, that will just add a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Motivation.
Motivation.
Yes, maybe that will add a little bit. Say, okay, you did that before, yeah, and you got away with it, and we know why you got away with it, because you took our best player out. You're not going to be able to get that's not going to happen this time.
But they were wearing those T-shirts in the aftermath of having won. And I think, if you want to take a punt on yourself, fair enough. But to do it before the fucking final, that's just hubristic bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
Mulby earlier on, Mulby said it's going to bite them in the arse.
I was going to say, let's just hope it works against them.
Yeah, I mean, the old classic where somebody will do an interview in the papers before a game, and then they'll just pin that interview up in the changing room.
That's the one. That's the one.
And how many times have we heard it before a big game against Liverpool? Opposition player has said X, Y, and Z. We're going to do this, that, and the other, and they get their asses kicked. Hopefully, we'll get the same result now. But that's obviously that game's 3 weeks away. We've got 5 games before that, 5 huge games. I just wanted to touch on something quickly though with you guys. Have you seen the prices now being quoted for the tickets for the final?
No, talk to me.
We're talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 pounds a ticket.
Right. Now, at the heart of that is the absolute absurdity of the allocation.
Yeah,
it's because of the UEFA ballot that goes to anybody. And people have obviously, from other clubs, have bought tickets. They've got no intention of going to the game now because they're not a supporter of said clubs.
So now they're touting for all their life is worth.
Those tickets. This is a huge issue because I'm now thinking Wednesday I wasn't going to Paris. I woke up this morning and I've decided I've got to go to Paris, regardless of whether I've got a ticket or not. I've got to go to Paris. Yeah. So I'm now looking at flights, which have gone, for me to get a flight with one stop even from Birmingham to Paris via wherever, it's like 500 quid, which
You're kidding me.
No.
Really?
Yeah, 500 quid.
Is there a way you could do one the day before and I don't know.
This is the day before.
Or something? Oh, Christ, dude.
This is Friday coming back on a Sunday.
Oh,
so
my
that's
God.
I've got accommodation.
Have you considered driving?
I was just thinking that. Don't they have that tunnel now?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I've had a word, and somebody's going to come back to me over the weekend because they are driving, and maybe they're going to look at. I don't know what they're going to do. They said just give us the weekend, we'll let you know.
Well,
So
a
maybe
lad, a lad
jump
like
in
you
with a few of the guys.
a lad like you could surely, with all your contacts with cars and vehicles, you could surely possibly source some sort of a camper van and just bugger off like that.
Oh no, I've got accommodation.
Oh, you
So,
have? Okay.
yeah. Basically, the Podfather has managed to book a suite somewhere with a sofa bed and a big double bed. So he said,
Nice.
yeah, accommodation for 2 nights isn't the problem. It's just
Getting
finding a way
there.
out there. But that's by the by at the moment. I mean, just obviously the issue is, I mean, I'm going to be bankrupt by the end of the month. I'm taking my daughter to her first game tomorrow.
Right.
I'm then going to I'll be at Wembley next week as well. And then I've got the Wolves game, last game of the season, the week after, and then obviously trying to get to Paris somehow. So I will literally be bankrupt by the end of the month. So I don't know how the travelling cop managed to do what they do, honestly. Some of these people, they must be earning a fortune, or they must be having horrible credit card bills, every month, and how they're doing it. I hats off to them. So
well, mate, it's primarily that last one, and that's been the story with Liverpool fans for decades, going back to when we were last dominating Europe. They would get there. It didn't matter how. Yeah. There would be terrible sacrifices made, and they would get there. And that's what really hurts me about this is the exploitation of.
I'll be there. I will get to Paris somehow.
Yeah, but it's also the exploitation of these fans. These people know nothing means more than for these people than for Liverpool fans to be able to get their hand on and take it for a Champions League final with a chance to say I was there when we won. And the fact that they're exploiting it to the extent that they are, and also, I mean, of course, people are going to go.
I had it in Madrid 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we were quoted €7,000 for a ticket by the brother of a LFC player.
Yeah, I do recall that story. It was disgraceful. And it was pure stroke of luck that it worked out for you the way it worked out in the end. But look, man, do you know what's wonderful? This is a new show narrative for the next few weeks, and we'll keep checking in and seeing how you're getting on. And we could have spent ages talking. Kam watch, yeah, we could have spent ages talking about the Tottenham game, but by the time this show is out, the Tottenham game will be as good as over. It's huge.
Take my daughter for her first game tomorrow.
I mean, that's massive, man, and that's the story here. Is that you and Kiddo are going to see the game, and I'm really hopeful that it's going to be a good memory for both of you.
We're in the Cop, so you can't go wrong in there.
You can't go wrong there.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Lots of songs.
You got toys.
Yeah, exactly. Send us some toys there, Richie Rich.
Yeah. Hey, sell me one of those toys for like $10 so I can sell it for $1,000 and take that flight ticket.
Look at him angling here, Lisa Marie. It's unbelievable.
There you go.
I'll touting going on here.
I'll let you know what I find next time I'm at my parents' house.
There's a mint edition Hungry Hippo is going to wing its way to you there, Kam.
Just eBay it for me and just send me the money.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, we have gone over the hour mark, and I want to keep it to that for folks so they can kind of schedule whatever they're doing around the idea of an hour show. So many topics to talk about. We can only scratch the surface because things are mental and great at the same time. We love it that way. We'll be back next Friday. At that point, what will have happened? At that point, we'll have played Spurs, and will we have played another
Villa, right?
Southampton? No.
Villa, I think.
Villa. Yeah, we are playing Villa. We will have played Spurs, and we'll have
Villa
played,
away, isn't it?
And hopefully Stevie will have had the good sense on that Tuesday night to tell his team to go on the beer the night before and and take the night off, and he'll send out himself and the kids, and he'll do a Stevie slip.
Yeah, those kids are quite good, you know.
Well, it won't matter if he does a deliberate Stevie slip and they can make up a new chant, and it'll be great. But who knows what's going to happen? We'll have both the Tottenham and Aston Villa games to talk about. Hopefully we'll be chatting to you guys about 2 more wins in the relentless pursuit of glory this season, and we'll be looking forward to the day after the show that we do, the FA Cup final against Chelsea and the match against Southampton only 3 days after it. It is a crazy schedule, and it's a crazy schedule because the Reds are fucking brilliant, and that's what happens when you're following such a fantastic team. We'll take it. We love rhythm. Kloppo loves rhythm. His players love rhythm. Kam Brainch, Lisa Marie Hanahan and Trev Downey love rhythm, and we'll speak to you again very, very soon.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.